Yield to the distinguished gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here today. And I have a particular interest in what you're saying and doing because in September 1990, I visited as a tourist to Moscow. I was so hopeful, and I have studied Russian history and Russian culture. I really appreciate their contributions to the world. But it was startling. In 1990, it was like stepping back into 1917. And it was the end of a failed socialist era of empty stores, empty streets. But I was just so hopeful seeing the pre-1917 architecture. It was just awesome. And then the talented people. But it's just been, what I was hoping for was a partnership between the people of Russia, Europe, the United States, for the betterment of the Russian people. But sadly, on subsequent visits across the country with my family, we saw the beginning of a free market society, a modern society, but it's evolved now, sadly, as indicated, into an autocratic political system, a crony capitalist system of some type benefiting the elite. I'm still hopeful for the country, but and the Russian people, but what challenges we and they have. With that in mind, I have a question for Dr. Hill and Dr. Farkas, and actually, Dr. Hill, you've substantially already answered the question, but let me go to Dr. Farkas from your point of view, which is really interesting. But as chairman of the Emerging Threats and Capabilities Subcommittee, Russia's ongoing information propaganda operation is of great concern. And I share the interest of the chairman. What do you believe DOD should do to better compete in a new sphere of hybrid warfare, and how do we counter Russia's information propaganda operations?
Thank you very much, Congressman Wilson. I think I've laid out some of the components already. So with regard to dealing with the hybrid, I think all of the special operations training that's ongoing, and there's also some assistance that's being provided to embassies on the strategic communications front, so helping ministries of defense communicate better within their society what they're doing, and I'm specifically thinking about Ukraine, where we've been pretty active helping our ambassador work with the Ukrainians. So we need to do more of that. I don't think, first and foremost, though, the strategic communications is the Department of Defense's responsibility. So I really do think that the State Department should take the lead on that, and DOD should be in support. But the Special Operations Forces have a special niche capability with their so-called MISS teams, these informational teams. They can help embassies work with foreign governments. The other thing, of course, is just in training them to be able to see when things are happening and changing on the ground. And there is an intel component there, so obviously the Department of Defense's intel capabilities need to be brought to bear on the situation. So I think those are the main components, aside from the ones that I already mentioned.
Can I just add to that mix? I think that's a good shopping list, but it's also cyber. As I hope I indicated, I think this is an area Russia is really moving rapidly, along with other nations around the world, and I think the ability to compete in that space is something we need to emphasize as well. Thanks.
Let me just add one small point, that there is a very important role that our armed services can still keep playing through professional level exchanges with Russia. Although we should not be doing any of the things that Dr. Farkas warned us against in terms of some of the weaponry issues and some of the joint ventures that we've engaged in previously, those professional level contacts are still extraordinarily important, especially for strategic communications. It's messaging. Because just as you said at the very beginning, we do not believe that Russia is any kind of implacable foe or enemy. What we have a problem with is the particular conduct and posture of the current Russian government and the way that they want to seek to use the military as a tool in their foreign policy. We have to make it very clear that there is still a different possibility ahead of us for a different kind of relationship, as we've already said, on many issues where we have mutual interest. And those professional level contacts are very important in emphasizing that. There's a great deal of respect for the US Armed Services among the Russian military, and we should capitalize upon that when we communicate with them.
And I've actually seen the benefit of people to people, too. In my community of Central South Carolina, we have a very thriving, assimilating Russian-American population who are, we have many visitors coming from Russia, and hopefully they see the positive society we are. Thank you. My time is up.